Have you ever looked at a moving shot and wondered, how is it so smooth? Why is it not shaky? Well, that's thanks to a fancy little rig called the Steadicam. We were lucky enough to have one of Canada's best Steadicam operators on our show. Here's our interview with Brian Trebe. Brian, thanks for being here. Great to have you on the show.
Pleasure.
This guy has done everything. He's done the Winter Olympics, he's done the Juno Awards, he's done Deal or No Deal, he's done Canada Sings, you name it. Like, you've done it basically.
Correct.
So how long have you been doing this now?
I don't want to pimp my age, but I've been doing this 20 years.
20 years, wow. And now that 20 years, has it been 20 years as a Steadicam operator or 20 years in the industry?
20 years working out of school.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so when I first began, I got an opportunity to be a camera assist.
What did you do as a camera assist?
I actually assisted Steadicam for my very first gig.
Right.
And it was a harrowing, frightful, terrorizing experience.
How so?
Because I was jumping right into the mix with a bunch of seasoned veterans that were used to a certain system of work.
Right.
So I kind of had to learn and figure things out while I was actually executing what was expected of me.
Right.
And that can be pretty tricky.
Going into the industry, did you have in your mind what you wanted to do, or did you just know I wanted to work in TV?
Before I went to school for the industry, I knew that I was attracted to the industry, and I also did I was always a musician when I was young, and I did a lot of acting, but I wanted to expose myself to other things.
Of course,
and when I was in school, I developed a relationship with the camera, and I really liked the camera, and I had a knack for working with the camera. So once I got into the business, the first thing I sought out was working with cameras.
So I guess you're always kind of waiting for people to pick you up then, or do you go out and you search for work more? Like, how does that process work?
It's best to proactively seek work.
Right.
And the way that you do that is that you have to build relationships and network.
Of course.
More than 50% of your success as a freelancer is going to be because of relationship building and relationship management.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to be excellent at your craft, but you also have to be just as excellent in relationship building.
So have you always been a freelancer, or have you worked for companies and businesses and stuff like that?
When I first got into the industry, I worked for City TV, Much Music, and Bravo.
Okay.
So I was a camera assist for them. Quickly after being a camera assist, I started operating camera.
Right.
So I was there for a total of about 4 years between being part-time when you first get in and then getting a full-time position. And after those few years, then I went freelance.
What's the biggest shoot that you've done, like in scope or scale?
I would have to say probably the opening and closing ceremonies of the Vancouver 2010 Olympics.
How was that?
That was fantastic. You know, you're in a place where there are people from all around the world.
Absolutely.
There's a massive budget. There are so many departments working symbiotically to create one particular moment. And to be part of a huge machine and undertaking like that is fantastic. It's a great experience.
So do you ever watch back and see like your old work, and do you ever think like, I could have done better or stuff like that? Or
so something that a lot of people do is criticize your own work so that you can look for things to improve on.
Right.
And that can be between takes. That can be, you can PVR something that you shot and watch it at night before you go to bed.
Right.
It could be at any time. But yeah, anybody who takes the craft seriously will always look back on what they've done, critique yourself so that you figure out ways to improve your work.
What's your favorite shot that you've done that you could just sit down and just watch over and over again?
There was once I did a shot on Canadian Idol.
Right.
On the season finale. There was a guest performance by the band named Headley.
Yep.
And the director and producers decided that they wanted to do the entire performance of their song, which is like 3.5 minutes long, all one shot on the Steadicam.
Wow, okay.
So, and you have to remember that that's live to air.
Yeah.
There is no room for error. And especially on a Steadicam, one take, like they can't cut away to another camera if there's an error.
Right.
It all rests on the Steadicam. So I rehearsed that a few times after designing the shot with the director. And I asked for a recording of my final take in rehearsal, and I reviewed that every single day before, well, it was like 3 days before we actually did the show.
Yeah.
So by the time we did the dress rehearsal, I had in my mind exactly what I wanted to do, and the dress rehearsal was my opportunity to be able to tweak and explore any particular little boundary.
Right.
And then live to air execute the shot, 3.5 minutes, all one Steadicam shot.
So I guess then the whole onus was on you for that 3.5 minutes. Everybody was watching you
all
do
on
your
me.
work. What's that feel like? Like that's gonna
amazing.
Be yeah. Would you do it again?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every day.
So I mean, are you one of like an elite few who are like fantastic Steadicam operators, or is this is this a specialized thing that people do?
This is very specialized, especially I work predominantly in the television and live television side of things.
Okay.
There are probably 3 of us in the entire country that can step onto any show and do it really, really well.
Right.
So you look at 3 guys in the entire country that can step up to the plate and knock a home run.
Mm-hmm.
On the film side of things, there are more guys, but it's a little bit different in film because in film, you're predominantly a camera operator first,
right,
and then you bring Steadicam in as an accessory that you're going to be using in it, to add to your arsenal. So there are more guys that do it from a film industry perspective, and it's a completely different beast. Operating Steadicam on a film set is completely different than operating in live television.
How so?
Many different reasons, because in live television, you're always tethered by a cable. Sometimes you're lucky to be wireless, but in live television, you are pulling your own focus and you're zooming the lens yourself. In a film scenario, somebody else is pulling focus, somebody else is going to operate the zoom if there's a zoom lens on the camera, and also somebody else is going to be pulling the iris. What I like about film is that the environment is always controlled. So you have every department working together to ensure the success of your shot.
Right.
In television, it's kind of the opposite. In television, you're one of 10 to 15 cameras, and there are moving variables around the set like crazy, so it's almost like everything is working against your success.
Right.
So you have to have a really trusty, competent assist, maybe even a second, and you have to have a wealth of experience in order to survive that environment.
Absolutely. Which one do you prefer working on typically?
I love bouncing between both because live television, there's a serious adrenaline rush that I get from it. So not only is there the physical aspect of donning the weight and the task of the rig, but there's a multi-camera puzzle that's happening. And when you're live and your little red light goes on, there could be 5 million people watching that shot in that moment.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a different side to it in film where you're sculpting the shot. It's very particular, it's very cinematic. I find it to be far more collaborative because you're dealing a little bit more closely with actors' talent, with grips, with assists. There's a few more people that you're working with and collaborating with to ensure the success of the shot. I really enjoy both sides of it.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for being on here with us on Inside Media and talking to us about the rig, talking to us about what you do, what it's like. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, thank you.
And we'll be back with more Inside Media after this.
Did you know, during some of the Russian roulette scenes in the classic Vietnam film The Deer Hunter, Robert De Niro put a live bullet in the gun to heighten the actor's tension. However, it was checked to make sure the bullet was not in the chamber before the trigger was pulled.